Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Let's see which legendary tight ends can help you for week number 6. As of now, we're not expecting Brock Bowers to play, still dealing with that knee injury. So not going to see him in the top 12 rankings as we show you that list now. Led by Jake Ferguson. We got Trey McBride at number 2, Tyler Warren number 3. Sam LaPorta, Heath, taking on the Chiefs defense that's been really good against tight ends. Do we trust LaPorta in this matchup?
I think we've gotten to a point to where like the top 5 or 6 names in the tight end rankings, we're just not going to think about it that much because we've had so many other guys that have filtered up into the bottom half of the top 12, disappointed us, and just dropped completely off the face of the earth.
Is Dalton Kincaid, Dave, now a guy that we just don't forget or just set and forget?
Yeah, he is. Not only is he a must-start fantasy tight end, if you've got him as your second tight end, you can flex him. He just looks like, as you called, Jamey, the guy that can lead Buffalo in catches and yardage this season. He's the best pass catcher that Buffalo's got.
Just get more than 6 targets. He's just capped at 6 targets every week. It would be nice to see.
He's doing pretty darn good things with those 6 targets.
He had a good game last week with 100 yards, but most of it has been touchdown dependent. But yes, he's definitely doing a great job for the Buffalo Bills. Let's show you the list now. 13 through 24, and still tight ends that you can find on this list that you might be considering starting. Guys like Theo Johnson, Jake Tonges, at least another week without George Kittle there. Dallas Goedert has scored a touchdown seemingly every time he's been on the field. Evan Ingram's playing well. Zach Ertz hopefully will bounce back. So a lot of guys on this list that you could potentially get by with, and as Dave alluded to, might be flex options for you just because of some bad matchups at wide receiver or running back. These tight ends are in some good spots if they continue to play well. Let's talk about the toughest player to rank for this week. So Dave, for you, it was David Njoku. Heath, for you, it's Darren Waller. For me, it's Sam LaPorta. Why is Darren Waller tough to rank?
Well, we want to rank him really high because he's played 2 games and he leads all tight ends in fantasy points per game. That seems pretty simple. He's also not a full-time player yet. And the big reason is he's facing Derwin James and the Chargers. They gave up 47 receiving yards to Travis Kelce in week 1. No other tight end has topped 40 receiving yards against this defense. Zach Ertz just played his first game since 2014 without catching a pass. They are completely erasing the tight end from the game right now. And so I'm worried that happens to Darren Waller.
Yeah, the reaction I have to that is Waller isn't a typical tight end. He's much more of a receiver than a blocker and certainly faster than a lot of the tight ends that the Chargers have taken on this year. And the Dolphins need him desperately. He might not be quite as hyper efficient as he's been through the first 2 weeks, but I still think he's a big touchdown candidate. Could catch 4 passes for 40 yards on top of it.
For you, Dave, the guy is David Njoku coming off his best game of the season. First start with Dylan Gabriel. What's tough to rank with him this week?
I'm worried about that continuing on because we did have 4 weeks of David Njoku not being as huge a part in the Cleveland Browns offense to begin the season. I'm hoping it's a connection between Dylan Gabriel and David Njoku. And this is a Steelers defense. They allowed 29 PPR points to Hunter Henry in week 2, 10.8 to A.J. Barner, and then 7.9 or fewer PPR points to the other tight ends they faced. And this also frustrated me. David Njoku plays the Steelers twice every year. Last year, 1 huge game, 17.2 PPR points. The second one, 3.9. Actually, the 3.9 game came first. I'm nervous to trust him. Top 13 type of fantasy tight end, one that I feel better about in PPR than in half and non-PPR.
That definitely makes sense in the format. I'm just going to hope that what we saw last week, Dylan Gabriel leaning on his tight ends, both tight ends finding the end zone, obviously Njoku getting a lot of targets, which is what we were hoping for throughout the course of the season, but maybe the quarterback change is what's going to unlock him. And again, for me, Sam LaPorta, a little bit of a concern just based on the matchup against the Chiefs. Chiefs do a very good job against tight ends. LaPorta's best game so far came against the team that stinks against tight ends, which was the Cincinnati Bengals last week. So still a set it and forget it type of guy, but somebody maybe just be a little bit cautious about. The start tight ends for us, for Heath, it's Theo Johnson. For you, Dave, it's Jake Tonges. For me, it's Mason Taylor. So not exactly the cookie-cutter names we're used to saying.
Right.
Theo Johnson tonight, what do you think he's going to do against the Eagles?
He had a 20% target share so far on Jackson Dart throws. That was with Darius Slayton playing a majority of the time, or at least a part of that time. Now their number 2 wide receiver might be Tyrone Tracy. Oh yeah, their number 1 wide receiver is Wan'Dale Robinson. Right. Not exactly a great option there either. I just think he's going to see the volume. He's the only guy that Jackson Dart looks for in the end zone if the Giants get anywhere close to the end zone in this game. I expect him to be a top 12 tight end.
I wonder if their number 1 wide receiver is Theo Johnson, so that's a good call. He's definitely interesting. I like Jake Tonges, though, and I like him better than Theo Johnson. I like him better than a lot of the tight ends that are kind of middling, and it's because over the last couple of weeks, he's had at least 14.8 PPR points. He did great with Mac Jones last week on 11 targets. You can't ignore that. And the Bucs, 17.7 or more PPR points to a tight end in each of their past 2 games.
hopefully he continues to play well. Again, we'll find out. Juwan Jennings may be able to practice today. That could change some things for the entire 49ers offense. Ricky Pearsall not expected to practice. That's according to Kyle Shanahan. For me, I'm going to go with Mason Taylor, 25 targets in his last 3 games. Last 2 games, over 11 PPR points. I think based on what we're going to see, Garrett Wilson shut down. This is the only guy I think Justin Fields will be able to rely on. I know Denver knows that, but I think he's worth trusting as a low-end starter based on what we've seen from a target volume each of the last 3 weeks. Let's go to the tight ends that we're sitting this week. Dave, you're sitting Zach Ertz. Heath, you're sitting Juwan Johnson. I'm going to get away from Kyle Pitts. A little bit of a caveat, though, because I did expect Darnell Mooney to return. The best 2 games that we saw from Kyle Pitts this season were with Mooney out. So if Mooney does not play, I'll probably change this and start him and sit him and get Kyle Pitts more of in a starting range. But Heath, why Juwan Johnson? Because he's been really good to start the season. Is he going to pick it back up after a couple down games?
Got a little ankle injury. Taysom Hill's back. Foster Moreau's back. Target share went down. Just don't want to trust it.
Zach Ertz, 30 snaps last week, no catches. Heath already told you about that. And this matchup against Chicago, I feel like this is a Kroenke-Merrick game. He ends up rolling for the Commanders, not as much for the tight end to do.
Maybe gets back to catching a ball for the first time since 2014. Just an amazing stat there with Zach Ertz not catching the ball. All right, we're going to take a break right now. We come back and get to your questions. Thank you for sending them to us on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling that. AskFFT is the hashtag. We'll help you with your fantasy dilemmas next on Fantasy Football Today.